Well, hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to my YouTube channel. So, I'm at the UFO Megacon in Laughlin, Nevada, and I wanted to give you an update. We've heard some very interesting presentations. We just got done with the Nimitz 2004 UFO panel, and this is really interesting. I don't think this has ever happened in ufology before. I've never seen anything quite like this at a UFO conference where you have four people from the same military related incident coming here sharing their stories. We heard from Kevin Day, who was a radar operator on the Princeton ship and did kind of the air intercept control. The guy that actually ordered the F-18s to take off after the Tic Tacs, and we're talking about the Tic Tac incident here. We had Gary Voorhees here, who was an operator on the Princeton, and another fellow that I haven't heard from before is a new guy. He came forward based on Dave Beatty's documentary, The Nimitz Encounters, which you can see on YouTube right now. There's a new version of this coming out on April 2nd, and it includes more reconstructions of this event from November 2004, including the erasing of the data after the event on both the Princeton and the Nimitz and the planes, which is very important. And Jason, it was a guy who had a top secret clearance at the time, and he is someone who shared how he saw the full video. We've only seen little clips from To the Stars Academy, a little clip of the little Tic Tac, the FLIR footage, and kind of takes off. Well, that is an excerpt from a 7 to 10 minute long video that he and Gary actually, let's take a look at their bios here for a second. Gary and Jason, who we see here, both have seen the full video. Did you know there's a full video that these guys saw? Not the video clips that we saw as part of the TTSA program. The little clip that we've been shown of the Tic Tac kind of in the center of the FLIR scope, and then it takes off really quickly. Well, that was just the beginning of these incidents. It was taken by a plane that went up later after Dave Fravor and the other F-18 from the Black Aces. They sent up another F-18 with a FLIR pod on it, that the infrared pod that could record this, because they knew these Tic Tacs were around. Now, Kevin and so last guy is PJ Hughes, who was another technician who was aboard the Nimitz, and he was a technician on the E-2 Hawkeye electronic radar plane that does the surveillance of the entire area and sees what's going on. And PJ also had some interesting stories to tell. Now, one of the interesting things that came out is from all of them is there's been this controversy of whether the data was erased. Guys came on board. We know that Dave Fravor said in recent interviews that no one came aboard to erase the data bricks. These are kind of like hard disks, right? It's not tapes anymore, it's digitized. And that he would have known about it. But I am told by everyone I've talked to from the Nimitz and Princeton crews, and hopefully we're going to get some interviews with them tomorrow. We've been working on getting this for you because that'd be a lot of fun. But basically, every single one of them has said that the data were erased by different groups of guys coming aboard the Nimitz or the Princeton to erase or take the data. And they came on pretty quickly. Keep in mind, we learned from Kevin Day, again, this you might be familiar with this, but that the Tic Tac events were going on for a week. And what Kevin said is, you've heard him say this, and go and watch the Nimitz encounters if you want to refresh your memory. Again, there'll be a new version out. Dave Beatty said there'll be a new version out for us on April 2nd with about another 5 to 10 minutes of footage. Let me just show you a picture of what the panel just looked like. A few minutes ago, we had, can you see that? Everyone was there. And Bob Kvyat was, from Fox, was there hosting the whole event. There is the whole crew, including Dave Beatty there, right over here. And so what we learned from Kevin Day is that these objects were seen for several days coming off of Catalina Island, going from north to south. And they were picking up these tracks. And he was concerned about it for several days. And he finally told his commanding officer, hey, you know, we need to, what is going on here? And the guy gave him permission to launch the F-18s and, or to vector the F-18s that are already in the air to these targets, one of which was the Tic Tac that Fravor later encountered. And so he said today to me personally, when I was talking with him, and hopefully we're going to get an interview with him tomorrow, and to the audience right now in this panel event, that there are these optical discs aboard the Princeton, and the Princeton is an Aegis class radar controlled ship, and they have a device that records all the conversations between him and the air intercept controller on like 8 tracks, just for redundancy in case anything gets lost. So they don't want to lose anything. There are these markers there that are automatically put in when he's talking or the air intercept controller is talking, and it records their conversation. Immediately after this incident, he went down to get these recordings because he knew they'd be important, and they had already been erased, you know, like with an hour or two. So that's one evidence where the data were erased. We heard from PJ Hughes that his job was to take the data hard disks, which are called the data bricks, out of the E-2 Hawkeye plane and put them into safe storage, which he did when the E-2 plane landed after this Tic Tac encounter. And shortly thereafter, like within a few minutes, his commanding officer showed up at his door with 2 guys from the Air Force, not Navy guys, 2 Air Force guys, and stuck out like sore thumbs. Are on a Navy ship. They demand the data bricks. So he goes to the safe and gives them the data bricks, and that's the end of those. We're also told that all the other planes had their data taken from them. And on the Nimitz, we're told that within an hour or so that plainclothes guys showed up, apparently landing from a helicopter, and also took information from the kind of centralized computer system that records all of the data that comes in from all of the planes, all of the ships, and it kind of assembles all the data in one place. Those were also erased. So I'm just saying this right now because it's very clear that the government did not want any of this Tic Tac encounter to leak out and go to the public, to get off those ships. And they were there pronto. Now, how could they be there so quickly? Because for one reason, all the information from the ships goes back to land. It's something I was told has been in place since 9/11, because after 9/11, it was realized that the military should be sharing their information with the government back on land on the continental U.S. So the Navy ships share their information. So for a variety of reasons, because this event had been going on for a couple of weeks, and because the data is now shared, people knew what was going on. Officials knew it was being monitored. And when the Tic Tac encounters happened, it had already been going on for a couple of days. And very interesting, we learned from Kevin, who we found out is actually a Top Gun air intercept controller. He's not just any old radar guy. You know, he's trained at the Top Gun school in Nevada. He had 18 years of experience out at sea, and he is the senior guy on the Princeton who has the authority to vector planes this way and that. So this guy really knows what he's talking about. And he said that the Tic Tacs, after the Tic Tac incident that we know about, for a couple more days, they just went back up to 28,000 feet and kept cruising south from Catalina Island southward. No one knows what they were doing there. Over 100 objects were recorded in groups of 5 to 10. Could have been the same objects coming back, but no one ever saw them come back. He said he was told that they came in from far above our atmosphere, 120,000 feet, way up there. And when they did drop down to the water, because the planes were engaging them, they went from 28,000 feet to sea level in 0.78 seconds. He knows that because he measured it precisely at the time. So 0.78 seconds is pretty fast to go from 28,000 feet. You know what that's like, from being in an aircraft down to sea level in less than a second. Really fast. Now, we learned something new here that I don't think anyone's really talked about before. The Tic Tac that fell down from 28,000 feet, they call it the Tic Tac because, you know, it has that Tic Tac shape, you know, about 40 feet in length, 20 feet across. It actually went underwater, was picked up by the sonar of a submarine. That was part of the Nimitz strike group. And so the Tic Tac went underwater, then went out and started, you know, engaging Dave Fravor's plane. And we've heard about that side of the story. So this is a very kind of complex episode. A lot of efforts obviously put in after it's over to erase the data. We're told from Patrick P.J. Hughes that there was a buddy of his who he calls Roger, who doesn't want to come forward because he was made to sign an NDA, which he said he would no longer, he would never talk about this again. These guys from the E-2 Hawkeye plane were taken down into the SCIF, the secure information facility, and signed NDAs. A lot of people signed NDAs that they would never talk about the skin. So why? That's really the upshot of all this. Why? What happened out there off the coast of San Diego in November of 2004? Why did it take so long to come out? You know, some of these guys said they started talking about it shortly thereafter, guys who hadn't been told for some reason not to talk about it, and no one believed them, so they just forgot about it until the New York Times article came out in 2017. Can you believe it? These guys experienced all this, and no one was interested. Kevin Day said he wrote a book about it called The Seer, but no one believed him. And it just almost could have been forgotten, just like Roswell. But the New York Times article came out, and so now these guys are pushing to bring this in front of Congress because, as Kevin Day told me earlier today, this is like an aircraft safety issue, and he said it's illegal to interfere with these combat training exercises. Someone could have been hurt. You know, you've got these planes, you know, moving around at high speeds doing these potentially dangerous maneuvers because some object is coming into the middle of their training exercise. And he thinks we need to find out what is going on out there. So they're pushing to go to Congress. So if you want to know where this is all going, will at some point end up in front of Congress about what's going on out there. So this is the issue. Is this some sort of secret government project to create these anti-gravity devices? Is that what the Tic Tac incidents are? They put it, maybe the odds, some of them said 30%. But in that case, you're endangering the lives of these naval pilots when you do that. So is that what's going on, where they just wanted to see how these Navy planes reacted? See, the reason that sort of doesn't make sense is because these objects had just been way up there doing their own thing, minding their own business for a week, almost a week before they were engaged. You know, Kevin said they looked like they were like doing something up there. They didn't really care about us. They just want to be left alone. And here we are kind of engaging them. So they're moving around. And at one point, there were just tons of these objects dropping out at 28,000 feet altitude. By the way, they're going really slow up there, 100 knots. It's almost impossible to go 100 knots at 28,000 feet. There's not enough air to support your plane, if that's what it was. So it's really strange. They're all dropping down into the ocean, going back up. The whole thing's kind of weird, guys. I think you have to admit. But it's very interesting hearing from them. And so we have established definitively today, as far as I'm concerned, that's the really cool thing that happened here today, UFO Megacon, is that there was a cover-up of the Nimitz 2004 incident. No doubt about it. Different groups of, you know, uniformed and ununiformed military personnel or intelligence personnel came aboard these ships, made the guys sign NDAs, mostly guys, sign the NDAs or erase the data bricks. Why? Why does this need to be erased? What's going on here? You know, nobody knows what's going on here. But I appreciate these guys being brave enough to come forward and tell us their story today. That's Dave Beatty there, talking about the documentary, The Nimitz Encounters. Again, there'll be a new version up April 2nd on YouTube with the footage of these data bricks being erased and all this. So I think we have definitively established today that there was a cover-up. And I know I was having, you know, Twitter exchange with some of you earlier today about whether this was covered up or not. And some people said, as Dave Fravor said, nothing happened, he would have known about it. But I'm told that where the F-18 guys are, the fighter pilots, it's in a different part of the ship than the radar and the command and control centers for the Nimitz ship. So what goes on in one part of the ship would not be known to the pilots who are engaging the top of the ship and are flying above. They don't know what's going on in the rest of the ship. And helicopters are coming and going all day on these ships, I'm told. And you just wouldn't know who was coming and going there. So there really was, in my view, I think they've established today very effectively that there was a cover-up of the Nimitz incident. So we have to ask why, who, and what. Anyway, thanks for listening, guys. I'll have an update for you tomorrow. We're going to hopefully get some interviews with some of these guys for you. I've asked them if they can talk about their experiences because you're not here at the conference. And so we've got some questions here. You know, Stormy Cape, why are you afraid, all of us collectively, of these visitations? I don't know. It's just, it's really interesting. We're dealing with the unknown here, folks. This is the real thing. This is the real unknown. Perhaps this is some secret program. It just seems very not that likely. I guess it's possible that our own society's invented these anti-gravity vehicles that can go, 40,000 miles an hour and make, we're told, right-angle turns at Mach 8. It doesn't seem like you could have any living thing in there, but maybe they're anti-gravity. There's just so much we don't know. All we know is these events happened, and we know that the To the Stars Academy group is going to have a TV show on the History Channel in May, which I'm told, I guess I can tell you this, is going to have more footage than we've seen of these Nimitz encounters, and more information going to be forthcoming that we haven't seen yet. That's what I'm told from the Nimitz guys. I guess I could say that. I mean, this is what's going on. There's going to be more things released in that unidentified series, Unidentified Searching for UFOs in America. So we'll see there. But I don't know why we're so afraid of this, guys. It's just we're not making progress on this, and we don't talk about it. And again, they're pushing for congressional hearings. It's an aircraft safety issue, and we need to know what's going on here. I think you'll agree. Yep. So Third Phase of the Moon says we interviewed one of the guys. They told a lot of these guys. So that's a good point. Thank you, third phase of the moon. Yeah, we have a lot of new details here. And the one other detail I'll say before we go today is there are a lot of people who know about these Nimitz encounters from 2004. By the way, another thing we learned today. You're asking KB, any new details? The Roosevelt encounters. That's the name of the aircraft carrier that had these other Tic Tac encounters off the coast of Daytona, Florida. And that's in September, I believe, of 2015, just 3.5 years ago. Same sort of thing. We haven't heard anything from people on the Roosevelt. And I'm told there are hundreds more people who heard about this, knew about this on the Nimitz, because there are 450 people on the Princeton radar and control, command and control ship, and 5,000 on the Nimitz. So there's hundreds and hundreds of people that knew about this. No way they couldn't know about this. It lasted for a week. But they are concerned about their careers and so forth, and they couldn't even get all the people here at the conference that they wanted to get here, from the other pilots from the Nimitz incidents and so forth. The female pilot, Alex, who they mentioned her name here today, and we've mentioned it on Reality's Edge, I believe. But Alex didn't want to come forward. They tried, and she stopped returning the phone call. So there are people who don't want to come forward about this. So in any case, yeah, thanks. Okay, so we'll have more for you tomorrow. It's just to know that there's a lot of people coming forward. Now, Dave Beatty did say to us that because he's released the Nimitz Encounters, you can see it on YouTube right now, get a new version up on April 2nd. It's good. We just saw it. More people are coming forward all the time because they're seeing the Nimitz Encounters. Say, hey, I served on the Nimitz. We heard from a guy, a tape that Dave Beatty had, Omar, who they were doing an exercise, a man overboard exercise, and they said that a light came down. It was during this time of the Tic Tac encounters in 2004. A light came down from the sky, hovered over the water, and then darted around, went back up. Same thing? We don't know. But anyway, folks, more people are seeing UFOs, and that's the good news here. And they're coming forward, and we're getting over the fear associated with this. Now, I don't know exactly what these objects are. Maybe you do. I don't think anyone really does. But we're definitely all going into the unknown here together. And why not? You know, we can talk about it here on YouTube. We can have these conferences. Hopefully, we'll have congressional hearings. And we'll figure out at least what our reaction is to this, so we don't have to have this massive secrecy, which I don't really think helps. I think the more information we get out. The other concern I have about this, obviously someone who wrote Black Swan Ghosts. It's not like we're dealing with ghosts here, but the topic is ghostly because people are afraid to talk about it because of fear of ridicule, fear of it affecting their career, ostracism from neighbors. You know the score, guys. And that's my concern, is that people are having these experiences like I've documented in Black Swan Ghosts, and they're not talking about it. What do you do with that? You're holding it in forever. That's not healthy. You had an encounter with something real in the universe. We should be talking about it. We all live here. Hello. I think you get the idea. So maybe it's, yeah. So, okay. So, Kay, that idea did come up. Is this some sort of AI, some sort of drone AI, or these organic beings, these Tic Tacs? We don't know, folks, but it's so fine. Okay, one more question here before we go, and we'll be back with you tomorrow. Simeon, do you personally believe that this is a great threat to us? No, I don't think this is a threat. That's thanks, Stormy Cape. Kevin Day mentioned this to me when I'll just get his photo up here today when we were talking in the library, in the lobby there in the vendors area. Kevin's just a great guy, and he, yeah, here we are with some of the Nimitz guys and Melinda Leslie, who organized the talks, this conference. Let's see if we can get a picture of Kevin. Yeah, so Kevin, Stormy, here's the deal. What Kevin said: these don't seem to be a threat. They seem to be. They were minding their own business. If we hadn't vectored planes in to try to find out what they were doing, and they probably wouldn't have done anything else than they were doing all week, was just cruising at 20. They came in from 120,000 feet, pretty high up there, folks, down to 28,000 feet where aircraft fly and stuff. They were just doing their own thing, going 100 knots, really slow. What's that, 120 miles an hour up there, just going north to south, whatever they're doing. And then we scrambled our jets towards them. I mean, it was in the area. But no, they don't seem to be a threat. Yes, Alan, I agree. The biggest threat is ourselves. That's based on the data. They don't seem to be a threat. That's what Kevin said. Senior chief air intercept officer on the Princeton, pretty high-ranking guy, 18 years of experience. He says they're not a threat. So he says they're not a threat. I'll believe him. I'm just going on the evidence here. So, okay, guys, thanks a lot. Hope you enjoyed this, and we'll be talking to you soon. Take care for now, and bye-bye.